Hi y'all, it's Charlene from the Crafty Art Shack, and today we're going to be working on a special project. But first, I need to tell you about some things that we shared in our last video, just so that everybody can be on the same page when we start this video. So, let's get to the craft desk and get started. Let's go! Alright guys, these are Venetian blinds for anybody who doesn't know it, and the difference in these is the slats are about 2 inches thick, and these are actually made out of a plastic material. And in our next couple of videos, we're going to show you how to use these for signs and different things around the house, along with that topper that's on the top of it. Now, if you can find these dark wood color ones, get them because they are rare. They also have them in a light tan. Now, where I find mine at is, over the years, I have gone to what we call the Restore. In our city, that's called Habitat for Jack's Restore. And there they have stuff that comes out of homes that are being remodeled or different things. And you can get these blinds there now or when I got mine, they were around $3.99 a pair, and this is about the size that they were. But these make great projects for doing crafts, and I've used them in a ton of crafts over the years, doing different things with them. So I'm going to share with you some of the things that we've made out of them in the next couple of videos. So let's get to the craft desk and see what we're going to make out of ours that we have today. Alright guys, this little sign I got from the stickers I got from the Dollar Tree, and I cut them into 2 pieces and cut the label off the top of it. Then I got me some of my blinds and I cut 6 of them at 8 inches long. And then I'm going to take and lay them out in a particular pattern, and then I'm going to tape them down. Now once I get this taped down, and this is just to hold them together while I'm going to take my spackling, and I'm going, there it is, I'm going to take and fill in my holes. And this is just some regular spackling that you put it in, it's pink, and when it dries it turns white. Now I'm going to just take and fill in all my little holes, and then once I fill them in, then basically I'm doing this sign the same way I did my Christmas one, and I'm going to clean it up, and then now I'm going to go to put my pieces on my back. Now remember, I cut them at 8 inches long. So my back pieces, I just need to take off about 1/8 of an inch because I want it to be a little bit short. And I'm going to cut the other one to the same size. So I'll mark it out. No particular mathing needed here. And I'm just cut the end of it off. And then I'll be ready to glue these in place. Now before I can glue them in place, I realized that my pieces were going to be, my tape pieces were going to be in the way. So I'm just moving them to the outer edges of my project so that when I glue my little slats down, it doesn't glue over my tape, because I don't want to leave the tape on there. And I'm just making sure I'm lining my tape up, because that way my 2 little slats, when I get ready to put them on the back, they'll be nice and lined up, see? And I drew that line up there so I could clean up that edge before I tape everything down. And you see, I just come in here with a box cutter. This is how easy these cut. You don't need to have a pair of miter shears to do this. And see how I'm just trimming that up? Real easy, you guys. This is not hard at all. Now the next thing I'm doing is I'm putting glue down where that glue is going to touch each one of the slats, and I'm going to press it into place. This is just like I did the Christmas tree sign, except for my slats are going to be on the back side this time instead of the front side of my project. So it basically goes on the same way. It's just a matter of what side you put your stickers on. Now, I'm looking to see which way I want my stickers on, whether I want the slats going sideways or whether I want the slats going straight up and down. And I think I decided that I was going to make it to where the slats went from side to side. So I'm just marking 2 little places because these are stickers and I just want to make sure that I have them lined up straight on my project. And if they're not, you can pull it down. Now what I did in between each one of these so that it looks like slats is I go in there with my box cutter and I'm going to cut this sign down. Not cut it down, but I'm cutting the sticker part and I'm making the little slats in it. And if you have both stickers in at the same time, you can just go all the way across, and then I'm taking my fingers and running it in the creases to make sure that I get it nice and adhered in those little cracks, and these stickers do fine for that. Now I'm going to take some of my vintage photo ink and I'm going to go around the edges of this. Now you guys, if you want to paint your slats, you can. You can paint them any color you want to. I chose to leave mine white, but then I'm going to take and make them look rustic by going around with the vintage photo. And then I'm going to come back in with the black ink as well. Now the vintage photo, I've had it for years and I think that came from Amazon or Michael's. You can find it just about anywhere. Now you notice I'm running that on the little slats, the cracks of the little slats. And then I'm going to come back in with my black and I'm going to take and dop that on there around the edges to enhance and brighten that brown up. And the black makes that brown look more antique-ish looking, look more like rustic wood. And I'm just going all the way around the edges. Now you can get as heavy or as light with this as what you want. And then the next thing, I'm looking at the sign to make sure I have it right. And the next thing that I'm going to do is take my Mod Podge and I'm going to go over all of this, making sure that I run the strokes of the Mod Podge the same way that my slats are running. So that way it has that wood appeal to it. And then the next thing I'm going to do is turn it over, and I need to, now that it's dry, and I'm going to take and put a piece of jute rope on the back of it, and I'm just going to use the sides of those little slats to determine where my little rope is going to go. And I start up at the top and I go down a couple of I go down through the first part of the slat, if that makes sense. In other words, I'm using the depth of that one little slat to glue it in, and I'm just holding it there in place until my glue dries. You guys, this is roughly 12 inches long, that little string, and I just glued it to both sides. And then I took another piece of string that was approximately 12 inches long and just made me a little jute bow to put at the top of this. And that is it for this little project. Now we're going to go into making these other signs. Basically, they're done the same way. Now the black that is on there is just that black multi-purpose paint, and I just kind of brushed it on the edges of it and I stuck my stickers on. Now depending on which way you want your sign to read, whether you want it long ways or whether you want it tall, depends on which way you're going to glue these together. But you need to make each one of these signs, you need 3 blinds that are 13 inches long by 2 inches. And then you need 2 pieces that are 6 inches by 2 inches. That don't seem right. Yeah, 6 inches. And then what you're going to do is glue those to the back of your sign. And that's what I did on both of these. Now, I didn't go into details and showing y'all how I made these pictures, but what I am showing you is that I went in here and I took my drill and I put holes in the top of my signs so that I could run nautical rope in there. Now, what I'm doing so I don't damage my desk is I'm going to stick a piece of wood under there. Now, I took a large drill bit because this is going to be a large piece of that nautical rope that you get from the Dollar Tree that's 9 foot long. And you're going to take, and you don't want to be too close to the edge, but you want to come down about 3/4 of an inch to an inch down, and you'll drill in the outside slat, and then you'll go over to the other outside slat, and you'll drill your hole over there as well. And you'll want them to be pretty even. Now, on my home and memory sign, I'm going to drill my holes in a different place. And I'm just showing you that that's where I'm going to tie my nautical rope. Now, I take me a piece of nautical rope. I put a piece of tape on the end of it so that I can pull it through my sign, because it just makes it easier. If you try to stick it through there, it's going to unravel and come untwined and undone, and you're going to be frustrated. So put a piece of tape on there. It just makes it easier. And I decided my holes weren't quite big enough, so I'm just going to wiggle my drill around and make those holes just a hair bigger. Not much, just a hair. And then you're going to stick your rope through, and it should go through pretty easy this time. And there it comes. And so I'm twisting it as I'm pushing it up through there. And with that tape on there, it just makes it so much easier. Now, I was going to go back down this other side, but I decided that I wanted the knots to be on top this time. So I pulled it through, pulled my knot really tight, and then I'm going to take that knot and trim off that long piece, and I'm getting out my really good pair of scissors to trim that up. And then I'm going to put a little bit of hot glue on that, and I'll pull it through. I don't know if I show y'all that I put the hot glue on there, but I do put a little bit of hot glue in my knots and where it doesn't show. And then I'm going to take and cut off my nautical rope again. I'm going to add another piece of tape to that side. Now, I cut it a little bit longer than what I needed because I wanted to have my loop after I made my knot. And if you cut it too short to be only to the length of the sign, the hanger that you want, when you make your knot, it's going to end up being a lot shorter. So there I go, pulling it through again. Now I'm pulling it through and I'm looking to see how long I want my thing. And so then I'm tie my knot, trim it off, and I'm going to glue it on the back side and then pull it. I'll pull it back, but before I actually pull it back into place, I'm going to put a little bit of hot glue on the back side of that knot so that it doesn't show. And voila, we got some more signs. And you'll do the same for that home and memory sign. Okay, what you're going to need for this next project is a little crate or a little box like this that you see here. Now, I've had mine for years, but you're going to take that little box. You're going to need one of those. And I'm showing you what all you need. You need 4 of these little pieces of fern strip that are 7 inches long. You're going to need 4 blinds that are 11 by 7/8. You're going to need 4 blinds that are 9.5 inches, and then you're going to need, I'm using Ivory chalk paint to show y'all that y'all can paint these. And then what I'm going to start out doing is painting my little furring strip boards. Now you can get a big old long furring strip from the Home Depot for really cheap. This came off of another project that I had done a long time ago. Now I'm painting all of my little slats, both front and back, with this Waverly Ivory paint. Now, y'all know me, I don't like to get my fingers into stuff. So I'm painting with the pair of pliers at the end, and I'll go back and fix that little spot. And I'll do this to all the slats and all the little boards and to my crate. I'll paint it all with the ivory paint, all while it's apart. It's easier to paint while it's apart than it is once you get it together. Okay, here's all my little boards. I'm finishing them up now, and I'll paint all the sides. You want to paint every side there is to all of these pieces. And once you get it all painted, then you're going to paint your little crate as well. And your little crate here is mine, and I'm finishing it up here. And you notice I'm barely touching it with my fingers because you guys know I don't like to get stuff on my hands. And I'm going to just make sure I paint the inside, the outside, and the bottom side of this. Okay, you guys, this next part is probably the most fun part. Now, you see all my little letters that I have there? See those little molds that I have there? I am taking and filling each one of those letters that I need to spell out Farm Fresh, and I can't remember what else I put on here, but I'm filling up every letter with the glue that I need to make my letters for my box. So if you don't have letters, if you buy a set of these, and I think I paid like $6 for these, and it's a set of letters, a set of numbers, and they're the uppercase and the lowercase ones, and it says also has a happy birthday with it. You can get them on Amazon. Now, I am making all of my letters out of this using this glue technique for this project. And those are silicone molds. And I think this turned out just cute. Now, there's a trick to doing it. When I first did it, I didn't realize what I was doing and I had to do a lot of cleanup work. So what you want to do is when you're filling up your mold, you want to stick your glue gun with that real fine tip all the way down in there. Now you want to start by filling it up at all the little cracks on the inside of it. But you don't want to overfill these, because if you overfill them, you're going to have a lot of cleanup that you're going to have to do. So if you make a couple of them and practice with it before you actually do it, but you just take and fill those up with glue. And you guys, I love these little letters. It's the easiest thing to do if you don't want to have to keep buying letters over and over again to put on different projects. This is one of the quickest ways that you can make letters, because by the time you get done spelling out your whole word, your first letter is already done and ready to pop out. And you'll see some of that here in just a second. And I'm going to let the video play and y'all can just watch. Okay, the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to have some of this multi-purpose apple barrel paint. and you're going to put some of it down on your plate. Now I got my little pliers out. I got all my little letters over there. Now I was going to try to put these in a bowl and shake them around and get them covered that way, but I didn't know if I would have to thin out my paint too much. But if I did it again, that would be the option that I'm going with, because this is a lot of letters on this project. But you can just take and paint them with a regular paintbrush, and they're pretty easy to paint with holding the little pliers. Now, you don't have to worry about painting the back side of these letters, but you do need to make sure that you get down in the cracks and everything, because if you don't, then it doesn't, you need it for that depth, because that glue shows on the sides. So you want to make sure you paint all the sides of each one of these letters. And like I said, again, if I had to do this again, I'd put me some paint in a bowl with a little lead on it, and I would shake them up and paint them that way. Because you could do it this way, it takes some time, but I think the other way would be faster, and then you just lay them out and let them dry. Okay, while I'm waiting on my letters to dry, I'm going to take and start putting the crate together. Now, like I said, these pieces were from another project, so they have holes in them. You don't have to have holes in yours. These were already there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some wood glue and hot glue, and I'm going to put a dab of wood glue on there and a dab of hot glue on there and glue all my corner pieces in. Now, however you do your corner piece for the front, you want to make sure that you do your back piece the same way. You guys, it's kind of hard to get all this stuff in the picture for you, but this is all 4 corners glued in. The hot glue was to dry it permanently, and the other glue was to dry it temporarily. So I'm trying to show you how I'm putting the slats in. Now that slat, I went ahead and took a stencil and stenciled those little flowers on the top slat. But I'm looking to see where I'm going to place these on my little box before I get started. And I'm trying to adjust the camera for y'all so that y'all can see the whole crate, but it's kind of hard to get it in the picture for you. So I'm only going to be able to show you a corner of it at a time. Okay, you guys, so I glued the top one at the top of my crate pieces. Then I put a Jenga block in there as my spacer, and then I'm gluing on that next slat, and I'm putting glue on both ends. Y'all can't see the other end because this crate is actually bigger than what I could fit in the screen and show y'all details with. But then I'm making sure that it's at the same, lined up with my top one, and then I pull out the little Jenga block, and that's one side of the crate. So now we're going to move to the sides of the, actually to the back of the crate, and repeat the same thing. Okay, now I'm taking an extra piece of my slats and I'm lining it up with the bottom of my box and the top of the crate. And then I'm going to glue that top one down, and basically I had to go in there and I'm lining it up while it's still moving with the side and the bottom of the crate. See how I'm doing that? I missed showing y'all that on the front side, so I figured I'd show you that on the back side. Then I put the Jenga block in and glue that next one in place. Okay, once you get the sides done, the front and the back done, the sides are really easy. You just put your glue down on both sides right there at the top of where your top slat's going to go, and you just line it up with that top one there and the top one in the back, and voila. And then you're going to repeat that for the other slat, and then you're going to go do the slats on the other side the same way. And there we go, we have our crate finished. Now you guys, I apologize that you can't see the whole thing. I really tried hard to get this all in the video. And remember, on each one of your slats, before you put them on, you do want to fill those in with putty. I don't remember if I told y'all that or not. So now what I'm showing y'all, and I'm trying to get it in here so that you can see, and so that everything isn't upside down, but you guys, there's just no way I can do that. So here's my letters. Now, I already stenciled on those two little flowers. So what I'm doing is I'm taking a piece of that painter's tape and I'm laying it down so that y'all can see how I'm going to line up my letters. And these are hot glue letters. And I'm just going to line them all up on that little piece of red tape and the Squeeze Daily, and then my butt nuggets. I'm going to pull off another piece of painter's tape, and I'm going to lay it over all of my letters so that when I pick them up off of there, I'm not going to put glue on the back of them and then lay that back down. I'm just doing this so that I know where all of my letters are going to go, so that I have it spelled out in order, so that there's no way I'm going to accidentally misspell this. Okay, so that's the reason why I put that piece of tape on there. And then I'll just pull each one of them off and glue it down. And I'll do the same with my butt nuggets. You guys, I saw that and I thought it was too cute. If it was Easter time, I'd put some little eggs on there, but I didn't want to do that because I didn't want to make it look like it was Easter. And then my Farm Fresh, I'll do the same thing for, because I want to make sure, and I'm kind of putting it in between the letters so that I make sure that I get everything spelled right, because I hate getting to the end of the project having to figure out how to take something off and fix it. So this is the way I came up with for me. If you can do this without misspelling anything, then yay, you're one step ahead of me. So now I'm going to put down my painter's tape for my little lettering that's going to go on this slat, and I'm not pressing that down real hard because I don't want to lift up any of the paint off of it, even though it is painter's tape. Sometimes if your paint's not completely cured underneath, it can pull it up. So you either want to make sure your thing is really dry or not press it down too deep. Now this other piece, I'm putting a piece of tape there because I need to know where the beginning and the end of it is going to be, of that archway. And so I dropped it down below the slat because that's where I need to make sure that those letters are going to end up at. And you guys, I was trying to figure out the best way to get my letters in the arch that I wanted. So I turned over my paint plate and stuck it down, and then started sticking my letters down to where they were up against the edge. Now, if you stick your letters down, this is what I found out. Some of your paint's going to come off because that painter's tape is going to pull it off. But that's okay. I didn't mind it pulling it off once it did, because, and you see I'm lining up all my letters. Because I could come back in with a stencil sponge and just sponge the front of those letters back on really quick, so that wasn't going to be a problem for me. But if you don't want your letters to, the paint to peel off your letters, don't stick it to this tape like I'm doing. But you guys, it doesn't peel it off the sides, it just takes it off of the front face of them. And like I said, you can take a stencil sponge that you can get from the Dollar Tree and just pat it right on the front of this, and it's not going to get on your crate, okay, once you get these glued on. Alright, you guys, I call myself being smart, and so here's what I did. And I took and lined up all my letters on my green tape just like I wanted them to be. Now, I'm going to take my hot glue gun and I'm going to go over each one of my letters, putting down glue to the backs of them. Now, I'm not sure this was the smartest move, but this is what I did because I was trying to be fancy like this. And this took some time to get all that glue on those letters. So you tell me what happened to that first letter that I got ready to put on there that had the glue. Was it dry before I got it on there? I don't know. And then you go to move your hand like I did and you make a blooper and everything is sticking to you. So I hurry up and I sit it down. I line up the bottom of that green tape with the bottom of or the top of my red tape. And then I press my letters down to make sure that they're all lined up where I want them. And it appears to be that they're sticking down. The farm is sticking down, but the fresh wasn't. So I realized, okay, well, I can only do so many letters at a time. And you guys, I go through and I do fresh over again. Now, you want to make sure you don't put too much glue the first time, or you're going to have some bulky letters that are going to be sitting higher than that farm is. So I'm going to go stick it back down one more time, and then I'm going to hold it in place until they dry, and then I'm going to start peeling it up. And you notice these letters came up this time. My F went down, but my other ones didn't. So I did those. I redid those. And I stuck them down one letter at a time. And you guys, doing them one letter at a time is what worked. You notice that's pulling my paint off, just like I told you it was going to do. But that's not a problem. We're going to take our stencil sponge and fix that. So now I'm going to pull up that paint, that letter off the art, and I'm trying to make sure everything's staying lined up like I had it. This method works pretty good to a certain extent, but I don't know. Next time I might try it a different way. But you guys, that's why I do these things, not y'all, so that I make the mistakes, not y'all. And then when y'all do y'all's projects, they turn out perfect the first time, right? All right, you guys, now for number 2. I'm going to get smart here. So I'm not putting glue down. I'm going to place the letters where I want them. And look what I'm going to do. I'm going to put another piece of tape on there so that I can flip those letters up and down and glue down that one letter at a time. And you guys, this worked. This worked. It still pulled paint off, but it worked as far as flipping it up and laying those letters down. So every one of my letters came out in the right place this time. The Farm Fresh came out in the right place, but this method worked easier rather than trying to glue it all at the same time. And of course, by the time I get down to that third row, it's going to be right where I want it to be and done the right way. See how much easier and faster this is going? This is the way that you want to do it. But make sure you're not gluing it down to your red painter's tape, because you're going to need that to come off of there. That's just your guideline as to where to make sure your letters are lined up at. Okay, and here I go. I'm doing the third row, and you guys, I got this down to a science. You just put glue on each one of those, and you stick them down, and you take your red tape up, and voila. Now, I'm going to take my same multi-surface paint. There is my sponge stencil brush, and I'm just going to put some paint on my stencil brush, and here's what I was trying to tell you. If it pulls the paint off, I wasn't too worried about it. And then it's going to have plenty of time to cure while it's sitting on there, and it's not going to mess anything else up. So let's see, here we go. We're going to put some down. We're just dabbing the fronts of them. And I'm holding my finger under there because I'm trying to keep the box from tipping away from me, because I don't want to accidentally hit my box. And I'm just touching up all the places that the paint came off of. And you can see it didn't pull too much paint off. It just pulled it off where it was still not cured on there yet. So if you're going to do this, either be prepared to do this part or wait till they're fully cured to do that. But that's how I got all my letters on there nice and straight, you guys, without drawing lines and having to line everything up and then figure out how to get rid of that line. So, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And here you go, you guys. I'm sorry, my camera did not want to focus for some reason, but there it is, the inside of the box, and there we go. Isn't that just adorable? The only thing to do to this crate now is to embellish it, and I'm going to take out my markers again, and what I'm going to start out doing first is putting some little, I'm using the fine Sharpie marker, not the ultra fine, the fine, and I'm making little wood slats on the ends of each one of my little pieces to my crate. And then the next, I'm going to do that to all the sides. And then the next thing I will do is, draw my little nails that would normally hold my little crate together, and I'm going to do that on all my little slats. And then I'm going to take my marker and I'm going to run along the bottom edge, and if I miss a spot, that's okay. If I accidentally go over, it's okay, because we're trying to make these look somewhat like a wooden crate. You guys, this little crate turned out so cute. You would not know that this is not made out of wood unless I told you so. So here's the rest of the embellishment. You guys, we're back from the craft desk, and look at all of these signs that we've made. Here's even our sign that we made in our last video. You guys, all of these projects turned out adorable, to include our crate back here that we're going to decorate later for Christmas. So, because we're going to use it as a Christmas present. Yeah. All of these could be given away as a Christmas present. You guys, we made so many items out of these blinds, and you get about 30 slats in each blind, roughly. And these are all the projects that we've made out of them. You guys, just think of these things as they're your pieces of wood, and they're really easy to work with. So, you guys, use your imagination. Make up something. Send me a picture. Go over to Facebook and post it on the Facebook page or Instagram or Twitter. Yeah, that's the other one. Or go to our website and send us one. Email us one. And show us what you've made out of your projects with these blinds. You guys, that'll do it for this episode of the Crafty Art Shack. We love you guys. And thank you for subscribing, and we'll see you later. Bye.
and I forgot what I was saying. And we hope you like this episode of the Crafty Art Shack. I messed it up. Hi y'all, it's Charlene from the Crafty Art Shack, and the fan is completely turned off. I messed up. I think about the things that you guys, you just can't make up some of this stuff. It's so funny. It just turned out adorable, and I messed it up. I was supposed to be doing the end. And that sounds stupid. Yeah, stop the recording, Charlene. Guys, that'll do it for this episode of the Crafty Art Shack. We'll see you later. Bye.